Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Roofing Contractor and Walls and Ceilings. Welcome to our podcast show, whether it's If Walls Could Talk or our Best of Success Roofing Contractor. Anyway, we're on site here. I'm with Tammy Clark. Tammy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always great.
So remind everybody who you are.
Well, my name is Tammy Clark. I'm an industrial hygienist and occupational and environmental health and safety professional, regulatory compliance specialist, and I mainly focus on the construction industry.
So Tammy, we were just talking, and I think it's really important that I want you to just talk to all of the safety professionals out there, whether you're working for a construction company, but you just shared something very interesting in regards to general contractors. There's so many things that come up. What do you need to tell everybody? What are you seeing in general when it comes to contractors working with their GC?
Yeah, one of the main things that I am struggling with in my profession to keep people safe on the job is a general contractor approach. And lately, general contractors are taking this blanket one-size-fits-all approach to safety, which is never ever the way we handle anything in the medical environment, the health world, the scientific world, the safety world. Taking a one-size-fits-all approach does not consider in the factors that the individual trade contractors are dealing with as far as means and methods. I would never come in here and tell, for example, a roofing contractor how to do their roofing work, because I'm not the competent person. So I'm not going to tell you what your means and methods need to be. However, I will look at the work you're doing and I will make sure that you are complying with all health and safety regulations. So as long as you're doing that, I don't care what your means and methods are. That's up to you. And OSHA has a term called competent person. Most people know what that means. Most people are familiar with the term competent person. That's the person who is qualified by experience, number one, experience in the field, can anticipate, recognize, and correct hazards on the job, and they've been given the authority by the company to stop the work or to correct the work. Well, a general contractor is not the competent person for a roofing contractor, for example, right? So by taking a blanket one-size-fits-all approach to trying to control health and safety on their job is not considering the fact that they are violating the individual contractor's competent person status and being able to make and determine their own health and safety measures while still allowing them to get the job done, following their own means and methods that they know. The general contractor doesn't know, they know. So I'm seeing this across the board from roofing contractors, trade contractors, electrical contractors, you name it, when it comes to PPE, mandating just these blanket one-size-fits-all approaches. And it's been really frustrating because what it's actually done is created a greater hazard for many of the trades because they're not considering the fact that they're the competent person. They're the ones who should determine their safety and health means and methods, not the general contractor. So it's been a struggle.
Yeah. Well, I want to dive into the details a little bit more about a greater hazard. So can you give in general an example of what a decision that someone might be making that could be creating a greater hazard? Because you've seen it, and I'm excited to help educate everybody.
Let me give you a perfect example for the roofing industry, one that I've had to recently deal with. A general contractor taking a blanket one-size-fits-all approach that everybody on their job site has to wear steel-toed boots. Usually a decision like that will come from the fact that somebody got hurt. Somebody had a crushing injury. Okay, so that's it. Everybody now has to wear steel-toed boots. They're not taking into consideration that creates a greater hazard for a roofing contractor. It puts them at greater risk for falls, for cuts, the metatarsal. I've seen some serious injuries with, they're flexing their feet. They're on their feet and their knees, and then that steel plate cuts into the metatarsals, and I've seen serious foot injuries from that. So they're not taking into consideration the individual trade's work and their means and methods. So then I have to go back and say, OSHA does not allow us to implement any control measure, including PPE, that would create a greater hazard. That's the number one no-no in my profession. And so when they do that, I have to then go back and educate them that you are now putting my client, my workers at risk by this blanket one-size-fits-all approach that you're taking, that you're not considering is creating a greater hazard for them. So it's
for
become a problem.
Yeah, so for example, it could have been like one of the other trades that had an issue with needing steel toe shoes, and he put this blanket across all trades on that particular job site.
And obviously it was because roofers are not at risk for crushing injuries getting, of their feet. So, but the problem is by taking that approach to try and solve a problem, you create more problems.
Yeah.
You create a greater hazard. My guys are now at more risk for tripping and falling wearing these big clumsy boots on a roof. Like that's not an acceptable solution.
Yeah.
Then we've got to go fight with a general contractor and get them to understand that, and their health and safety person doesn't necessarily understand the greater hazard clause because they're not a regulatory expert of how to apply all of this.
Right. So if you're a safety director at a contractor, whether it's under walls and ceilings or roofing contractor, what's the one question that they should? How do you get them to stop? What's the one question they should ask that GC to kind of take a pause?
So what they need to do is they need to ask the general contractor for an exemption clause. And I have done this with many of my clients, and I have always been successful when I sit down with their health and safety manager, the general contractor's health and safety manager. I sit down with them and I explain, in our profession, we can never put people at greater risk of harm because OSHA's general duty clause, which is section 501A of the OSHA Act, says all employers have to provide a workplace that is free of all known hazards or anything that could become a hazard. So we cannot create a greater hazard. It's also known as the greater hazard clause. But a typical health and safety professional only knows slips, trips, falls. They only know the safety side of our profession. They don't necessarily understand the regulatory compliance, how to apply the OSHA standards, the OSHA clauses, and the interpretation of the law.
Got it.
So it's a comprehensive field, and many of these general contractors, safety directors are just simply not educated or credentialed on all of this.
Got it. Well,
it's a challenge.
Yeah, well, Tammy, thank you for all you do to help educate everybody. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions for us, make sure you go to roofingcontractor.com or wconline.com and make sure you sign up for all our free content, especially sign up for our e-newsletters. Make sure you register for our website. Follow us on all our social media channels so you can stay up to date on all the great content we're putting out. But most importantly, like we're talking about today, stay safe and healthy, and we can't wait to talk to you soon.